My name is Garrett Sims. We got a very special episode for you with episode 12. We sit down with Wellington Napoleon senior football captains Joe Heater, Jared Raymond, and Maddox Blystone. Great conversation with them. Me and Kory talk a little bit about the Maryville Odessa game, and we're just wrapping up our last fall episode of the year. So we really hope you enjoy it, and thanks for a great fall season. I got Kory laughing, so I figured it was a good time to start. We're going to jump into our weekly roundup. We are going to do things a little bit different. This is going to be our last fall episode. We're not really sure what we're going to do over the next coming week, so just stick with us. But Kory, Hales, man, what a fun ride for a couple months here.
Yeah, fall is extremely busy. I think we've got, over 15 sports in 3 different high schools going on. Once the calendar flips over to August, it is a runaway train to about middle of November, hopefully beginning of December, with the finals in football. But yeah, it's been a heck of a few weeks here for us.
And we've been lucky enough, as busy as we are, we've got to see some great sports with Wellington winning their second place district championship. We saw Oak Grove win a state title. We saw Odessa place third in volleyball. We've seen Odessa have a really good football run. Oak Grove did some great things in football. We've just had a great fall experience with our, I guess I don't want to say pilot, but our first run at this, yeah. And I think it's gone well, Kory. I really think it has.
And we've had some great guests on the podcast, so I appreciate those ladies and gentlemen taking time out of their busy schedules in this time of year and talking to you and doing the interviews. You did a great job with all of them, and we need more lined up for the winter, so hit us up.
And with that said, I know I got Will Fox on the back burner, hopefully get Jonas Bennett. And actually, I want to say this. He's going to Pennsylvania. He's got an agent and stuff. I got that from Josiah. Nice. Didn't know if he talked to you about that Saturday, but I thought that was pretty cool. Big congratulations to him.
Yep, I know he's playing in a Senior Bowl, if I remember right. I cannot think where that is at, and I apologize. I want to say it's in Florida.
Wow.
So he's playing in a Senior Bowl. I'm not sure if that's strictly for Division II players or how exactly that works, but yeah, Jonas was He was a freaking stud with the football in the backfield when he was a Bulldog, and he's doing great things at Missouri Western State up in St. Joseph.
And we're rooting him on. Just great to kind of talk about that. One of my favorite, go back to the interviews, I still stand by it. My favorite interview so far was Mickey Wheeler. Mm-hmm. That dude is a passionate guy. He loves sports. He loves softball. I'm excited to see how he is on the basketball court, too. I feel like he's a very passionate guy, and I still stand by there wasn't a greater guy to win a state title this year, and man, it was just awesome to see him do that. And you were there.
He's just as intense on in the coach's box and the sidelines at a basketball game as he is on the third base line for a softball game. He's I jokingly, and probably just say this to myself, he's Captain Intensity. He is strictly focused on what's happening inside the lines on the playing field, whether it's a basketball court or a softball field. He's 100% invested, 100% in, 100% of the time.
And I think his interview just stood out with everything he said and stuff like that. I'm going to kind of switch notes. We're getting ready for winter season, and we got basketball coming up. I know Kory, me and him were talking. Oak Grove's got a couple games coming up. Odessa's starting to get going. And like I said, we got friend of the program, Will Fox, hoping to get on here soon. So we're rooting all these teams on, and, I'm excited to see what they do for this season.
Yeah, it's basketball, thinking back to my day, I played football when I was back in high school, and unfortunately my season always ended with a loss. So unfortunately you would go into basketball season a little down. I think it's just human nature. So hopefully all those guys and gals and the wrestling programs, honestly, at Oak Grove and Odessa, if they can all go in with positive attitudes, ready to rock and roll, because honestly all those teams, Wellington Napoleon included, there's some talent on all those teams.
Lots of potential.
Lots of potential. Like by February and March, we could be talking about some pretty special things as well.
And that's where we want to be. And, kind of to touch on what you're saying is a lot of these coaches, too, were kind of double dipping. I know Will, assistant football coach, head basketball coach. Andy Hampton, head basketball coach, head football coach. Same with Mickey Wheeler. So I think, it's going to be interesting, and I don't want to say like they're not going to play their best, but it's going to be real interesting with how some of these transitions go versus, how one season goes into another, and like you're saying. So obviously we're excited to see what happens, but I know I know. Is there is there a new coach for any of the basketball programs? Is it some of the same returners, or I know Will's new.
Coach Doyle's back for his second year for girls basketball. Will Fox is in his first year for boys basketball at Odessa. We've got Dayton Brown, who is the new head coach for the Odessa girls wrestling program. Jeff Brown's back for his second year in the boys program. We still have Andy Hampton and Bill Hughes coaching girls and boys basketball in Wellington, respectively, there. And then in Oak Grove, we've got Ethan Shackelford back for boys, Coach Wheeler back for the girls, Jamie Scully for the boys wrestling team, and Mike Phillips for the girls wrestling team. So great guys all the way around, honestly, and they'll get those programs rocking and rolling because they are obviously passionate about what they do and what they want to put on the court and the mat, for sure.
And just to touch on it again, I'm excited to see what Will does. It's cool for me because this is the first time that a friend of mine, somebody that we kind of grew up in high school with, is coming back to coach and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to see what he does. Mm-hmm. I know he's a great leader and he'll do great things, and I'm just excited. I know he was talking to me at the game or something like that. We were trying to set this all up, and I was like, you know what I mean? Just, take time, relax a little bit. I was like, we got a kind of couple weeks, things like that. And I think he's just ready for his first season, and it's exciting to see.
What I'm excited about with Will is I feel like in the past, and this isn't a knock on any specific person, but I feel like Odessa boys basketball, specifically Odessa boys basketball, has been like a jumping off point for people. It's been a stepping stone to other things. I feel like Will wants to be here. I feel this is his destination. This isn't, and he could be outstanding. I have no doubt that he can be outstanding, and I hope he does go on to bigger and better things. But I think he wants to be here. If he stays here his entire career, I think he's probably happy. Do I think it's going to happen? No, because I think he's going to be pretty darn good at what he's going to do.
And he's going
to be sought after, and that's fine. I understand that. So I like the fact that Will wants to be here, and I think that's going to be great.
I remember when I was in high school, in 8th grade, basketball coaches weren't necessarily like Coach Thomas, where they were a cornerstone or anything like that. It was kind of a little new guy every other year, a new gal every other year. So I think what you're saying, I agree with it. I think Will's going to be the cornerstone that this program needs. Mm-hmm. He's going to bring in, I think, a fun culture. It's exciting because once again, you're getting into the younger kids, new generation. See what that's going to kind of bring. Mm-hmm. I said we were going to do things a little bit differently. We were both at this game on Saturday. It was the 2018 rematch. We're going to jump into it, get it a little discussion going. Odessa lost 14-0 to the Spoofed Hounds Saturday. First thing I want to say, these kids all year long have fought, avoided narratives, looked adversity right in the face, and they fought it. They seriously, against all odds, made it to the quarterfinals, battled their butts off, mm-hmm. And what a huge, huge congratulations to them. I'll turn it over to you a little bit, Kory. But
I'm gonna jump in right behind you. I mean, with all due respect to the actual band of brothers from World War II, I mean, these kids went into pretty much every week outmanned, outgunned, and couldn't call for reinforcements. You know what I mean? Like, they had 33, 34 kids on the roster, and they played with 33 to 34 kids on the roster and played their hearts out. That was really evident on Saturday. I mean, it doesn't matter. You're in the state quarterfinals in Class 3, which is always stacked with good teams. It has to be. It's the 8 best teams in the state. Maryville, a rival per se, just because of the history that these two teams have had together. And it was a battle.
It was
4 quarters, and
the
it was
final
14-0 final is just amazing. But
the final score doesn't do justice to the Bulldogs. They blocked, I think, a field goal and 2 extra points.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I think Gabe Stutter got his hands on both, if I remember right.
What an athlete!
But I mean, again, just absolutely battled the entire time.
And that's what it was. A fist fight in a phone booth is how I call it.
Yeah. I mean, Maryville went down the very first drive of the game and got on the doorstep, and the Bulldogs held them on 4th and goal. at the 1.
Cade Carroll, baby.
And
Cade Carroll.
Yeah, and he set up camp in their backfield all game long, all afternoon long, battling through double teams and whatever. But he was a warrior. I mean, I hate to just name Cade. I mean, it was everybody. I mean, it took an entire team effort, and I sure wish we could have come out on top of that game just because they played so hard and deserved a W. It just didn't happen.
And, Kory, it wasn't just Cade. It was that entire team. I mean, they had fought all game long, and to see them just never really give in at any point, even when things weren't going right, And
yeah, Will Scott made plays in the backfield. Carson Tilden made plays.
Trey Sanders was popping people all game long.
He would come in on a dead sprint and go right to the hips or right to the middle of the thigh, and
it was loud. It was loud.
Cole Westerhold, obviously, we talked about him. Gabe Studdard was an athlete that was all over the field, offensively and defensively. I mean, it was just a battle. It just was. It's Spoof Hounds Bulldogs. It's what you would expect. Two
disciplined, two gritty, two very hardworking teams just doing what they do best in a quarterfinal match. Yeah. That's all there really is to it. I was a little disappointed because we did see that this breaks the 120 game streak-ish of Bulldogs scoring in a game. This was the first time we were held scoreless since 2014.
Yeah, which is an unbelievable stat. Pretty sure Dennis Slusher came up with that stat, so credit to him, Odessa historian. But yeah, that's an amazing stat. I mean, high school football is so unpredictable, not just year to year, but week to week. But to not be shut out for 10 years is a pretty amazing stat.
Well, to go to that side too, think about since 2014, how many Odessa teams have shut out the opposing team.
Right,
because I can at least count on my hand
at
least double digits in my time. So, I mean...
Absolutely, yeah.
And just to go kind of back to the game, it was a nice day. It was good football weather minus the wind. I think that kind of hurt both teams. Yeah. Both quarterbacks were having issues with it, and I mean, that I would too if I was a quarterback. So, but that was pretty noticeable throughout the game. I think it just came down to Maryville was the better team, the more disciplined team. And I mean, you kind of look at the sidelines, like you said, Band of Brothers, they did. I'm not sure if everybody on their team plays both ways, if it's like a certain select few, they have depth. Yeah. And that was kind of like one of those things I wanted to touch on with Cade Carroll. There was a moment in the game he was kind of hurting a little bit on his ankle, and he was fighting to stay in, and I think he only came out for a play in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, those are the kind of moments that everybody talks about, when I'm hurt, when I'm tired, when I'm against all odds, what am I going to do? And it's easy for everybody to sit there and say, oh, well, I'm going to stay in. I've said that. If I tore my ACL, I'm staying in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Till you're in that moment, no matter what it is, a sprain, a torn ligament, or just a bruise, I mean, that's just a testament to Cade. And it wasn't just him. There were other guys on that team. Studdard, Trey Sanders, Cole Westerhold. They were tired. They were battling,
mm-hmm.
but never once did they waver. And, I mean, I want to watch what I say because I don't want to quote Coach Blank on this too hard. But all I want to say is he said he was unbelievably proud of this group of boys.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's all you can say. And to our Odessa Bulldogs' credit, I mean, you're getting late in the fourth. You're kind of facing the inevitable, and to their credit, they took the loss with class and dignity, respectfully, as far as I could see.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing. I mean, obviously you're going to get emotional at the end of the game, knowing that this is over, especially if you're a senior. Like that's the last time you're taking off the helmet type of situation. So they played with class the entire game. They had to post the loss with class and dignity, and I was happy for them and proud of them for doing that at least. So, Maryville's got another tough test this coming week in the semifinals against Blair Oaks.
Wow.
A team that they've already lost to this year.
Two teams I don't like.
Yeah, well.
Two teams I really don't like. I think I'm rooting... I would say I'm rooting for Blair Oaks, but I really don't like Blair Oaks.
Well, Blair Oaks has been... My gosh, I couldn't remember the last time Blair Oaks...
Was not
good. You know what I mean? They've been around forever. They won 49-0, I believe, in their quarterfinal game over Hallsville. and have beaten Maryville earlier this year in week 1 or 2, pretty handily. So it's going to be. I don't see a 14-0 final in that game. I could be completely wrong, but it's going to be Maryville's going to need to put points on the board to stay with the Falcons for sure.
And to be honest with you, I don't want to pick apart Maryville's offense or anything like that. That's not what their strength is. They're a very run the ball, game managed team.
Yeah, ball control.
That was something apparent, and we were. During some point, me and Joe and Terry were over in the corner, and Brian Hardwick was saying something like it was 44 plays to 14. So I think Maryville's smart enough to know what they got to do this week. It's got to look like that. They got to keep the time of possession.
Yeah.
But it's high school football, and sometimes when you have a mismatch like that, even in the Final Four,
yeah,
like it's going to turn out to be the better team is going to end up.
And maybe Maryville's game plan changed a little bit as far as looking across the field, and you're seeing 11 players on the field and 22 standing on the sideline. They're thinking they have no depth. Let's beat them and bash them. Let's 3 yards in a cloud of dust them, and try to wear them down. Maybe that was their game plan. And like we've said this entire segment, Bulldogs didn't shut down or. I mean, they stood up to every task, everything everything they faced. I can't even say it, but everything they faced, and they absolutely hit it head on.
And like I said, I think the final score doesn't, because really Maryville didn't score that last touchdown until late in the fourth.
Yeah.
It was a 6-0 game most of the game. It could have finished that way, and you would have been sitting there saying, I mean, 14-0, 6-0, it's the kind of same to me. I don't really think it matters because either way, it's one of those hard-fought games.
Yeah.
I want to kind of go to the other side, think a little bit future. Obviously, Odessa's a young team. They're going to lose some seniors, and, great seniors. Dalton Cates, Gabe Studdard, Mason Ryder, Jeremiah Carter. I'm blanking a little bit here. I'm trying
Cade Carroll.
He's a junior. He's
Carson
not a senior.
Hager.
Carson's a junior.
Carson's a junior?
Carson's a junior.
My apologies.
Yeah, I see. That's what I was saying. I'm missing 2 of them.
Mason Ryder.
Yeah, and
now we're missing 1, and we're going to be in big trouble.
Number 2. I got it in number 2.
Avon Miller.
There we go. But they're going to miss those guys. Obviously, they brought great leadership. But like what we kind of are pointing out here, this team's young.
Yeah.
Very young. Sophomores, freshmen, juniors. You're going to have Cade Carroll returning. I think you're going to have Michael Scott returning. You're going to have Cole Westerhold returning.
Yep.
So, I mean, in a lot of the ways, why I want to bring this up is because history repeats itself. Now, am I going to go and say that this team next year is going to go win the state title? Maybe. I'm not going to put the cards out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a pattern guy. I'm very superstitious. Last time we lost to Maryville in a quarterfinal match, what happened? I don't know. But you heard it here first, if I'm right.
I hope you're right.
I hope so, too.
I hope you're
really
right.
cool.
No, it's they are young, and they've got a lot of players back on the offensive and defensive lines, which are, if you don't win the line of scrimmage, 9 times out of 10, you don't win the football game.
It's one in the trenches.
Yeah. So, I mean, they get no glory, but, man, they should. So, I mean, they've got other guys back all over the field as well. So, I mean, they've got a really good core that's going to return next year. And then you partner that with Coach Thomas and Coach Blank, Coach Clemens, Coach Bowman, Coach who am I thinking now?
Fox. Coach Kratz.
I mean, you couple that with those guys, and I mean, I know that Coach Thomas isn't going to probably get any votes for Coach of the Year, but by God, he deserves it in my mind.
If he didn't get any votes for Coach, we're going to have to watch that.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you where we're going to find it, but that man does. He's an intense man. You know it firsthand.
Oh, yeah.
He's an intense man. He doesn't care if he has 33 players on the roster. He's going to war. And
there's expectations.
Yeah. I mean, he did an outstanding job with that team all year, and his assistants all year. So it's, props to everybody. I don't even know where to jump off the subject because I just want to praise them because they played so well.
You can talk about them all day long, and that's just kind of the thing I'll finish up on is this team, this 2024 team, they give the perfect definition example of what Bulldog football is. It's a small, close-knit community. I mean, we're small guys. We're not the biggest. But I tell you what, we're tough. And those kids, that entire team showed that. They had the entire Bulldog culture behind them. I really believe that in all the Odessa teams, they might be one of the most Odessa in recent history. To do what they did, to be as tough and gritty as they've been all year long. I mean, I'm jealous. I'm envious. I mean, man. I mean, you can't speak. You can't jump off of it because you can't give them enough praise for what a season they have had.
Yeah, well said.
I think that kind of wraps everything up. I like to talk about the Chiefs just to get my blood boiling, but I think we should just.
Gosh darn.
You want to avoid that one?
Let's move on.
Let's
move on.
We're just gonna move on.
Props to Carolina. How about that? Props to Carolina.
It seems like whoever plays us just looks like a Super Bowl contender. Mm-hmm. I don't understand, so I'm having a hard time.
We solidified Bryce Young back in the starting lineup. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, we helped the kid out. I mean, I'm kind of excited. I didn't want to see him fall off, so the fact that he had a great game and stuff like that, but I'm like, what are we doing?
Right.
This defense, man, it's going to give me an aneurysm at some point.
Yep.
But this was our weekly roundup. Football segment kind of wrapped it into one. This is it for our fall sports season. We'll see you when we do see you. Me and Kory have appreciated it. And Kory, I'll let you say anything else. Close it out, Kory.
Close it out. Fall sports. Curtains down on that one. Let's raise the curtain on winter. Let's go.
Heck yeah. My name is Garrett Sims, and we have 3 special guests. We have Senior Maddox Blystone, Senior Jared Raymond, and Senior Joe Heater joining me of the 2024 Wellington Napoleon Tigers. Thank you, boys, for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us out here.
Obviously, congratulations on a great season, and that wrapped up recently, but I just wanted to ask you guys, so you guys did 8-man for the first time this year, and just take me through a little bit what was different for you guys and what maybe stood out. What's your takeaways?
I'd say definitely the speed of the game, really. I mean, a lot more big plays. Yeah, a lot more scoring.
And you guys seem to handle it, pretty well, Jared. I mean, you tore up a shortened offensive line. Was there anything affected for you say?
Well, I moved from linebacker to defensive line, and I kind of just went straight forward and didn't really think of anything much. Kind of just went for it.
Well, I'll say this: you were in the backfield a bunch, and I want to ask you about this. Can't officially say I didn't see the record, but you did. Did you set the tackle for loss record this season?
I know I set it for the school. I'm not sure if I set it for the state.
But it was a pretty awesome achievement, and I mean, watching you do that was awesome. And Maddox, just to ask you, what was maybe different for you being a wide receiver and D-back?
I was quarterback last year and the year before, and then I decided to switch to wide receiver / tight end because Johnny Hampton, he was pretty good. So and I could do basically any other thing. So I basically switched, and
was that transition pretty easy then?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I mean, took a little bit of practice, but then I figured it out.
And I'll just ask you guys a little bit going back throughout this season. Was there any games that stand out for you guys that may have been your favorites?
Probably St. Paul.
St. Paul, yeah.
Definitely.
St. Paul, yeah.
Yeah, we shut them down pretty good.
They had that number 1 receiver at the time.
Yep, held them to 0 yards.
0 catches.
0 catches.
And, just to talk a little bit about you guys placed second in districts, and can you talk about a little bit about how awesome that was and maybe a little bit about how cool it was to defeat Norburn the game before?
Yeah, I mean, making it to the championship was definitely special for the first year. We lost to Hardin earlier in the year without some starters. We didn't have Dez or anyone. And just to come out, we held them 0 at halftime, so that was pretty special.
And was there anything maybe that was different that week that maybe Andy was saying in the preparation or the messages? Was there anything like maybe what was the message for that week?
Revenge.
Revenge?
Yeah,
yeah.
Definitely.
Something I want to talk about, and Andy kind of said this in his notes to me, but your guys' message was restore the roar. So I want to ask you guys a little bit what that meant to you. And he said, obviously, he thinks that you guys were great leaders of that and helped do that this year.
No, it was just about bringing back old traditions. Like old rivals too. I-70 conference, we were back in that for the first time since everyone left for 8-man. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, playing the old schools we used to play back in the old days.
And I want to ask you a little bit, too, because there were some old rivalries, and I noticed 2 times, I'd never seen this in my life, but teams brought out these kind of welcome signs, like their own welcome, or not welcome banners, but run-out banners. Did that make you guys angry at all? Did that add the fuel to the fire?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely the Oric
Yeah.
game whenever they brought it out, because it was our homecoming, and we just thought it was disrespectful that they could have just brought their own banner to our house, and then we just went from there.
They didn't even score that game.
Definitely fired us up.
Something I wanted to talk about, bring up that Oric game, and something that you guys did in your sportsmanship. Maddox, you were great about it all year long, helping kids stretch and stuff like that. But I wanted to talk about, there was a kid, 31, he's kind of chipping at you guys all game long. How do you guys handle somebody like that? And obviously, I know the scoreboard handles it, but you guys had tremendous sportsmanship. And what kind of stood out to you with him?
I mean, just
Play with your pads most of the time. I mean, we don't try to get really into that because then it affects how you play.
And go back on you if you do something bad. You always got to keep your head up.
That's
Do
awesome.
the right thing.
And, I want to ask you this, Jared. You're pretty animated on the sidelines, which I'm surprised you're kind of nervous now. But how's that finger healing up after last game?
Oh, it's good. The finger's a little dead on the nail where it bent, but it's getting better.
What is it? So you guys are kind of moving on from football, but what does it mean to represent Wellington Napoleon over these past 4 years?
special. I mean, I don't know.
Definitely special. Especially getting back to the I-70 conference when, like, my brother and sister and all them played them back a few years ago, and we're back to playing them, and it feels different, but definitely a good feeling. Back to old traditions.
Jared, anything for you?
About the same as Maddox, because you're playing in the I-70, and like we play against those kids in every other sport. So like we're like friends with some of them, so it's just fun to play against them.
Oh yeah, and I mean, we had those rivalries too. I want to ask you too. Did you guys have like any social medias going on? Was there any Barstool Wellingtons or anything like that between the I-70s? Was there anything?
I don't really think so.
I don't know of
Any social media chirping between the schools?
I think Concordia did one.
Yeah, they had one. It was just like beat Wellington or something.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
That's lame. That's
Yeah.
lame.
That was nothing.
What do you guys think you guys are going to miss the most about playing football?
Playing as a team.
Just being on the field with the people I was on the field with.
Yeah, I feel like football is, I don't know, something different about every other sport. I feel like the team's closer because it's like going to war, I guess.
Yeah, they're like your brothers,
Yeah.
And it's like in football, you're not really going to put the shoulder pads back on, but like if you go to college, you can play pickup basketball or you can play slow pitch softball or all that kind of stuff.
Or even flag football, but it's never really the same.
Not the same at all.
I wanted to ask you guys a little bit about Andy Hampton. Was there anything, what are you guys going to miss about him, and was there any advice or life lessons he kind of gave you that might stick with you throughout your life or anything like that?
Yeah, he was an amazing coach. He fired us up and everything. He was amazing plays, everything. He was just an awesome coach all around.
I'll miss the pregame talks.
Oh yeah, the speeches were amazing.
He definitely taught us how to be like a better adult and leader all around.
Yeah, hold accountability for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you guys are going to leave a tremendous legacy, and it was awesome watching you guys, do your thing at Wellington. But I want to ask you guys kind of individually. I know you guys are heading into other sports and stuff, but tell me a little bit, what's the future of you guys? What sports are upcoming for you? And maybe collegiately or academically, what's next for you guys? Joe, with you?
Ready for baseball season. And, after college, planning on playing baseball somewhere. Just haven't really made my decision yet.
Any schools that you really want to go to?
A couple JUCOs that I can go play for, but just waiting it out, I guess. Probably know in a couple months.
Jared, how about you, man?
Oh, so we're going into basketball now, and I'm also excited for baseball. And then I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to think about going to a trade school and doing like heating and cooling and I don't know, maybe like concrete and stuff. I don't fully know yet what I'm going to do.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's kind of one of those things like, no, whatever you do, man, I think you're going to be successful at it. So, Maddox, what's next for you, man?
Oh, I got basketball next, and then baseball and track, and, I'm ready for those things. And I'm going to go to college after school, and I think I'm going to do marine biology. I'm just torn where I'm going to go. Mizzou, Northwestern. I don't know. I might go to community college. But, yeah, I think I'm going to go to marine biology after that, move somewhere else.
Awesome. And I just want to, open it up to you guys. Is there anything else you guys want to say, Tiger related or anything else?
I don't know. I feel like maybe football's been brought back to the school a little bit more than the past years. I mean, I really feel like the community is really coming together. And
was there a game that stood out for you where the community was more involved or anything like that?
Ooh, Hardin.
Hardin,
During
yeah.
districts. Before the district championship, there was everybody
The whole
lined up.
sideline.
Yeah, lined up all around
That
the
was
field and everything. It was crazy.
That was such a good game, and I mean, you guys, it was a pleasure watching you all season. And Joe, some of your interceptions during that game were just amazing to watch. I mean, and you could see the momentum all game long with you guys, and you guys held it. And I don't know if you guys know Nate or know that Nate's an assistant coach up there, but I do want to ask this last question: How did it feel to win against a Tiger alum?
felt good.
Yeah.
Felt
We
amazing.
see him around a little bit, so yeah, we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
He's a good friend, so I mean, it's all good. I tried to get him on here a couple times. He kind of stood me up, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's all right. You can air it out here, but I appreciate you boys stopping by, and obviously, congratulations on a great season, and thank you for.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Here we are at the end of episode 12, the end of the fall season. Just wanted to say thank you to Wellington Napoleon seniors, Joe Heater, Jared Raymond, and Maddox Blystone for coming in and doing the interview. It was a great one. Thank you to everybody so far all year that's helped out with this, all the guests, all the people. It's meant a lot. It's awesome to do this. Make sure if you want to catch up on news that you're grabbing your issue of the Odessan. It has a lot of news, especially with the holidays coming up. There's going to be a lot of things happening, so make sure you're grabbing your copy of that. Just a big thank you, and with winter sports coming up, we'll have some more things to talk about. So until then, take care.